Welcome to the DOM Invader introduction. I'm going to show you how to use an exciting new feature called DOM Invader that's implemented as a browser extension and is available in the Burp Suite embedded browser. This works in both Community and Pro. In essence, it allows you to find DOM-based XSS easily as if it was reflected XSS. And it does this by using canaries, which are just like a random string of alphanumeric characters. And you inject this canary into your request, so in a get parameter or in a source. And the extension will look for this canary in a sink, such as a val, and report to you in an easy tree view of where this value hit the sink. It's really handy and really useful for easily testing websites. So let's get started. The first thing to do is click on the Proxy tab. Open the Burp Suite embedded browser by clicking the Open Browser button. And if the extension isn't pinned by default, you just need to click on the plug icon here and pin it here. So this displays the Burp Suite container extension, and the Burp Suite container extension is an extension that contains multiple extensions. So if we just open it up, you can see it's got the navigation recorder and DOM Invader. So the navigation recorder allows you to record actions on the website and replay them in Burp. And DOM Invader is the extension that allows you to test for DOM-based XSS. So first we need to click on the DOM Invader tab, and you'll notice the icon changed to blue to match the DOM Invader logo. And then we need to enable DOM Invader, and we need to update the canary. So we're going to use Burp DOM XSS for the purposes of this tutorial, and we click Update. So now we've enabled the augmented DOM, and you might be wondering what the augmented DOM is. Well, what happens with DOM Invader is we instrument the various sources and sinks in the browser, and we will easily report them to you in the DevTools panel. So let me show you what I mean. So if we visit a test site, so you can use this site too, it's PortSwigger labs/DOM Invader, and there's a series of test cases. So we want to test the augmented DOM for the purposes of this tutorial. So we'll use augmented DOM eval, and we'll click on the link. And we'll inject our parameter called x, and we'll put our canary in there, so burp DOM XSS. And then we'll open up DevTools. You can do that quite easily just by right-clicking and inspect. And click on the augmented DOM tab. And this is DOM Invader in action. So what's happened is the canary was injected in a get parameter. DOM Invader found that this canary hit a sink, and in this case it was a val, and it's reported the value that's hit the sink, which is our canary. And that's a brief introduction on how to use DOM Invader. So once you have found that your canary hits a sink, like in this case a val, you might want to understand where this code is called. So if you click on the stack trace link on the right, DOM Invader informs you that the stack trace has been added to the console, so you just need to click on the console tab, and it's given you a stack trace of where this value occurs. So all you need to do is click on the most recent link in the stack trace, and there you can see there's the eval function and there's the value passed to it. So that's how you do a stack trace in DOM Invader. DOM Invader has a few things that make your life easier as a tester. We've got some features such as inject canary into the URL, inject canary into forms, copy canary, clear all, and the search functionality. So you might have a get parameter, or you might indeed have multiple get parameters, and you might want to inject the canary and see which parameter is sent to what sink? Well, you can do this quite easily in DOM Invader by just clicking Inject the canary into the URL. So here we've got a get parameter x with the value test, and if we click on the Inject canary into URL, the parameter will get updated with a follow-up string and a canary with a unique number that identifies which parameter caused the interaction in the augmented DOM. So here you can see we hit the location.replace sync, and we know that it's the parameter 1 and the parameter 1 identifier is there. So that's how you use the inject canary into URL. So in this tutorial, we're going to show you how to use the inject canary into forms feature using an Academy lab. The Academy lab we're using is DOM XSS in document.write sync using the source location.search. So what inject canary into forms does is similar functionality to the inject the canary into the URL, but what it does, it traverses all the forms and injects a unique canary for each of the elements in the form. So if we click Inject Canary into Forms now, you can see it's placed the canary inside all the forms, and then if you click Search, you can see that this value has been called in the document.write sync, and you can see that the value sent to it is inside an image tag, and it looks like a valid resource is being loaded. So to exploit this vulnerability, you can just simply inject the double quote to break out of the attribute. So if we do that now, you can see that the value is being updated. So we need to inject an event handler, and because this resource seems to be loaded, we can just inject an onload event. And if I do that, you can see our values are constantly being updated. So to solve this lab, you need to inject alert document.cookie, and we need to complete the injection because you can see there's a trailing double quote. So all you need to do is do a space and then add another injection with a double quote, and that should solve the lab. And that's how you use DOM Invader with inject canary into forms and solving an Academy lab. In this video, I'm going to show you how to find vulnerabilities in event listeners. So this test case has a DOM-based vulnerability, but you can only find that vulnerability by clicking on a specific link. You can see that this test case defines a click event handler, and you can see it goes to a location.replace sync. So if we visit this URL and inject our canary, you can see that DOM Invader, the augmented DOM, does not find the vulnerabilities. So there's no syncs being shown in the augmented DOM resources. But if you go to the settings panel in DOM Invader and enable auto fire events, this will automatically click on links for you and find key up events, and turn on redirection prevention. So this will stop the page redirecting to a different URL, and this can prevent you from finding vulnerabilities because it will change the URL and redirect you, and then you'll miss the vulnerability. So if we check these two options and hit reload, and you can see now DOM Invader has clicked on the link, it's found a sync, in this case the location.replace sync, and you can see the value has been sent to that sync. So that's how you use the auto fire events functionality and prevention redirection. So in this video, I'm going to show you how the highlights work. So if we do a search with Burp DOM XSS as our canary, you can see it will show you which syncs it hits. But what DOM Invader does is it shows you where the canary occurs and 100 characters from the left and from the right. So if you wanted to see more of the value sent into the sync, then you can just click and it will show you the whole value sent And if you click again, it'll show you just where the canary occurs. And you can, of course, do a search with the canary, and you can see it will tell you the number of times it hits the sink, and it also highlight your search query. And if you just want to search for the canary, you can click the search the canary button, and that will just search for the canary. But where this is really powerful is if you start injecting characters. So here we can see we've injected less than and greater than, and we can see that this particular sink is URL encoding, well, double URL encoding the characters, so we know that this is pretty safe. And that's how you use the highlights feature in DOM Invader. So in this video, I'm going to show you how post-message interception works. So we've got a few test cases here, and one of the test cases will send a message from another iframe. So if we click on that, you can see that there's an iframe on the page, and there is an event listener being defined. So in order to see these messages being sent, we can open up DOM Invader, and if we enable post-message interception and turn off the other settings for now, because they'll be explained in another video. So we've enabled post-message interception. So if you hit reload now, you will then be able to see the messages being sent on this website. So here we have the ID. So this is not a generated message. This is just the existing message. You can see the severity of the message. You can see the confidence of the message and the message type. So you have a string in this case. So other types are JSON string and a JSON object. And the origin is where the message comes from. And the data is what is being sent. So in this case, it's a blank data being sent, but that has been repeated twice. So that's why we've got these highlights which show you the amount of times that data has been repeated. And you can see we've got 3 other messages here. So we can open these messages to see more information about them. So all you need to do is click. And you can see in this instance, DOM Invader thinks that this is, the severity is just information, the confidence is tentative. It's saying that the origin has not been accessed, so the event listener is not checking the origin, so this could indicate a vulnerability. It's saying the data has been accessed, and it's saying the source has not been accessed. So DOM Invader has raised a vulnerability saying the origin has not been fully checked, but we haven't followed up on that because we've not enabled any of the other settings. So that's how post-message interception works in DOM Invader. So in the last video, I showed you how to intercept post messages. In this video, I'm going to show you how to spoof or fake the origin of the message. So to do that, first we need to enable post-message interception. So by default, it switches all these options on. So what we're going to do is just switch these 3 off and then hit reload. And the page reloads and we can see the messages. And you can see the origin is the original origin of the message. So in this case, we've got PortSwigger-labs.net and subdomain 1.portswigger-labs.net. So if we want DOM Invader to automatically create a fake origin, then we can enable this feature in the settings. So post-message origin spoofing is on. Set it to checked, and then hit reload. And there you can see the DOM Invader has automatically created a fake origin for each of these messages. So you can see the reason it does this is because if an event listener is looking for starts with the domain for an origin or ends with, it fakes both parts of the origin so that it will give you a good indication whether the site is runnable or not. So there's another way to fake the origin. So if we open up the settings again and switch off origin spoofing and hit reload, you might want to intercept all the messages and then just spoof one of the messages. spoof the origin of one of the messages. So let's click on this one, for example. So you have this spoof origin checkbox. So this is only available when you're not currently spoofing the origin, because it's pointless if you were. So now if you check the checkbox, you can see we automatically spoof the origin. So it adds a fake part of the domain to PortSwigger-labs, and this will give you a good indication whether a site is vulnerable to origin spoofing, because the start of the domain is prefixed with the domain and the end of the domain is suffixed with the current domain. And the fake part tells you that this domain is not under the site's control and you could control it and find a vulnerability. So that's how spoof origin works in DOM Invader. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the generate automated messages functionality. So I'm using the Academy Lab DOM XSS using web messages. So if we look at the post message window, so at the minute we can't see any messages on this lab. So we need to head over to the settings options, and then we need to do generate automated messages. So this will attempt to discover web messages on this website. So if we click reload, you can see DOM Invader has identified a high vulnerability as indicated by the icon, and if we click on the message itself, you can see it's hit an inner HTML sink and the characters were unencoded in that sink. So this is a high chance that this is a vulnerable sink, and you can see that the origin hasn't been accessed and the source hasn't been accessed. So that's how you use the automated messages feature in DOM Invader. In the previous video, I showed you how to use generate automated messages to discover post-message vulnerabilities. So in this video, I'm going to use the generate automated messages checked option, and you can see here we have a message that is vulnerable, and you can see it's expecting the message is going to an inner HTML sink. So what you can do in DOM Invader is replay this message. So if we change the canary into an XSS payload, you can replay that message by clicking send, and there you can see the alert has been fired. And that's how you use the replay functionality in DOM Invader. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use DOM Invader to build a proof of concepts automatically. And I'm going to use the Academy Lab DOM XSS using web messages and a JavaScript URL. So if we visit this page, you'll notice that we're not getting any messages. So we need to head over to the settings and enable generate automated messages and hit reload. And something interesting has happened. It seems to be that we're redirected. So the redirection is happening, and what DOM Invader does when a URL changes or navigated to, the messages are cleared, so you won't be able to see them. So what we need to do is prevent the redirection. So head over to the settings and enable redirection prevention and hit reload. So now when the page does a DOM-based redirect, it will prevent that redirect from happening, and then you'll be able to see the messages. So let's head back to the main domain. And there you go. So the redirection has been prevented, and DOM Invader has found that there's two high issues. So let's look at these issues. So there's one with a string HTTP and one with the string HTTPS. So it seems like DOM Invader has discovered that this event listener is expecting those two strings. We can confirm that by using stack traces. So let's just click on the stack trace button for one of these, and then head over to the console tab and click the stack trace, the most recent stack trace URL. And there you can see they are using an index of function in this lab, and they're checking for HTTPS and HTTP. So head over to the augmented DOM tab, and you can see the automated messages have appeared there. So we know that we can control the start of this sync, and we can inject these characters. So nothing is being filtered. And if we go back to the post message tab and then open up one of these messages, you can see that DOM Invader has told us all this information. So first it's saying that there's a vulnerable sync location.href. The message has been sent from this origin to this origin, and the characters have been unencoded when it reached the sync. So this indicates a high probability that this is a vulnerability. So we can confirm this by using a JavaScript URL. So we'll inject a JavaScript URL and alert, and then we'll use a single line comment because the event listener is expecting HTTP or HTTPS. So let's send that. So that confirms that our vulnerability exists. And of course, you can change the alert to document.cookie, or indeed you can use document.write. And if we change the value to something like leet. So we've just confirmed that we can control the JavaScript on this page. So let's head back to the page and open up one of the messages again. So to solve this lab, the Academy currently needs a JavaScript URL that alerts the document.cookie, and we use a single line comment. So let's confirm that it works. So we've got the alert, and now we need to build a proof of concept. So all you need to do is click Build POC button, and this copies it to your clipboard. So then you need to go to the exploit server, and you need to place this proof of concept in your exploit server. So this is going to be delivered to the victim, the automated victim, and it creates an iframe. It loads the iframe and calls the proof of concept frame, and this will send a message. If I just scroll and make it bigger, you can see this will send a message that reproduces exactly what you've sent. So if we deliver the exploit to the victim, this solves a lab. So it's dead easy with DOM Invader to create a proof of concept that you can use and solve Academy labs or exploit other websites.